Hi and welcome back to Kingsclear. This is the March update, and in this update I will just go through where we got from obviously the February update to today. As you can see, quite a lot has happened in the farm area. Obviously a new building which I'll explain in a bit, and yeah, as I say, quite a special one. This in effect is a year of been doing these monthly updates, but for this video I'll just concentrate on the monthly update. I will be sending out the first annual update in a couple of days time, so hopefully look forward to seeing that. Okay, so here we go. Following on from the February update, where we had some of the farm already done, but as you can see, quite a lot's already happened already. First thing we did, obviously painted the cobblestones, and then I've put a wash over the top of that, and I need to go back in there now and obviously pick out those cobblestones a bit better. And then obviously all that really needs a lot of weathering. And I've applied quite a lot of the DAS type clays, so they actually run out of DAS at the local shop. So I got some DAS, which was the terracotta, but the white coloured one is a slightly different brand. It's not as good as DAS. In fact, it's cracked quite a bit, but that's okay because the area is cracked. As you see, is this concrete area. So it's actually worked out quite well. But yeah, as you can see, the concrete area now, which I have painted with some Citadel colours. As you can see, I've made out the areas where the expansion joints would have been, and I don't know if you can make it out. There's a bit of like the ridges that you sometimes get, or always get, when you're putting this concrete down. So I think once that's had a lot of weather into it and is obviously surrounded by the buildings and plant machinery, etc., that's actually going to look okay. The roadway down to the road is a bit wide at the moment, but as I say, from what I'm looking at the moment, this is just the basic starting point, with obviously vegetation encroachment, etc. A lot of that will get lost in the undergrowth, so I'm not too worried about that. But again, being as it 1960s, it's hard to imagine exactly, and there's very few photographs out there of exactly what type of size of roadways you would have had. So I am governed by the roadway coming down from the main road, so there's a small pinch point there. So it's not like it's going to be like a dual carriageway type thing. It's going to be a single entrance, but with the double gates, I think that will determine the width. Apart from that, we've just finished off that bit of area there for the embankment coming down. And as you can see with that DAS product, I've built up the track down to the farm, which will be painted. So a small ditch running through the centre there, and another, should we say, deeper ditch coming down here. And again, it's deciding whether I put the fence on this one or put it onto there. I'm not too sure. I must probably put it onto this one. This representing the ditch with the field, and then potentially that fence will come up to about here-ish somewhere, and then most probably cut across, or look like it's cutting across. So you can imagine this would have been the start of the field, and this would have been like a bit of a wasteland area. So yeah, it's coming on well. As I say, we've just got the first washes down and paints down, and this area to the front, I have tried to smooth that as best as possible. You can see there's a few ridges in there, but that will, I think I'll decide that will be the lawn area. There will be some like bedding flower plants, bedding type plants going up the side there maybe, and in front of the house will be a gravel path, which in effect will extend around the perimeter of the building. And one of the things I'm going to try and do, and hopefully it works really well, is that the farmer, like myself, does like stripes in their garden. So I'm going to try and see if I can get stripes on the grass and see how that looks. Anyway, so that's up for the early stages. As I say, hopefully now what I'm going to start doing is obviously get a lot more vegetation into it, weathering down obviously the areas I've done, complete obviously the painting of all the embankment areas, etc. And yeah, it's starting to look really good actually. So it's really amazing the difference once you've put a bit of paint and a bit of veg material onto your scene. It really starts bringing it to life. So this area down here at the track, as you can clearly see, there's a ditch running down there. The fence will be put on there at some point once I've finished all the other bits and pieces. You can see where the tyre tracks running down the grooves with the grass either side, and there'll be a slight ditch at the bottom of that embankment there. So that's come up quite well. In regards of the main farm area, so we've got an area here which is going to be the vegetable patch that's been utilising some of the Citadel textured mud products, a lawn which is actually quite flat. So I did try to put some stripes on it, but completely failed. But the other issue is getting that tone correct. So I decided just to leave it as a normal lawn. This area here is just going to be a flower bed, and there'll be a fence on the back side of that as well. Apart from that, this area's come up really well. So this is like the concrete area. So with a lot of weathering and various different powders, it's really come up quite nice. I think there's a bit of a splodge down here, but I'm thinking I'm going to put a tractor or something down there to symbolise maybe a bit of an oil leak. But yeah, to be honest with you, I was really really chuffed about that, because that's come up really well. And then obviously you've got the area all in this area here, which has obviously received the first layer of the veg products. As you can see, the little pond there starting to come to shape. So it's still quite a lot more to do, but when you look at it where it was only a couple of days ago, it's really started to come to life. And especially when the buildings start going on, that will be great. So I'm currently making the gate posts at the moment, and that will give me a good indication of where the fences need to be positioned. And as soon as I do that, then I can actually get the fences up. And then in effect, some of these buildings like the Dutch barn can go on, and that needs to obviously have some weathering done to it as well before that happens, but that can go in. And then we can start putting all of the brambles, weeds, etc., and all of the other bits and pieces that just gets left behind in farmyards, etc. in. So yeah, coming on well. Following on from the last video, as you can see now, we've got the buildings in situ. So these aren't actually affixed to the baseboard at the moment. They're just resting on top, just to give us a bit of perspective of how it looks. And as you can also see here, I've done a little bit in this area here, just still keeping this area here for storage, but it just gives me a little bit of a point of where I can bring that scenery up to that corner. And as I said, I didn't really want to occupy that whole area, because as you can also see, we've now got the crane working. So there we go. Pretty simple, very efficient, quite smooth, and yeah, it just does the job. Maybe a little bit bouncy, but it does the job. So I can still use that as storage. I've obviously got the little arm on there to be able to operate that crane. So that's the DAS in there just drying off at the moment. But also, as you can see, we've got some fencing up now, and obviously this access track to the fields is starting to come together. Still needs a little bit more work doing to it. We've done a lot of work up in this area, so as you can see, fence on the top of the embankment. Put some gates in as well. Again, these aren't fixed in, these are just basically temporary in the holes, just to give the impression of what it's going to look like. So once this DAS is dry, obviously I'll paint that up, put some scenery on that, and then there'll be a fence line from the white gates, which is the entrance to the yard, next to the farm access gate, along the boundary line, which will go over the top of the gap and then down to here. And then this fence in effect will wrap back into this area, and this area here basically will just be overgrown, etc. So in regards of the building, the farm building, as you can see, I think those chimneys really do now make it pop out. These chimneys are a Model U product, and I've sprayed those, so they're really nice and clean and crisp in regards of obviously their detail. I've also done some work. As you can see, we've got some ivy now growing up the side of the old barn. That's come up really well, actually. Sorry about the shade there, but that's come up quite well. I don't want to overdo it. I've got some pictures of some very dilapidated barns, and it requires obviously holes in the seat and in the roof there and all the rest of it. So I want it dilapidated, but I don't want it condemned, if you know what I mean. We've also got some fencing in the yard starting that just basically breaks down these various areas. I think the garden now and the veg patch are starting to look pretty good, actually, and pretty much exactly what I was after. Going actually into the yard itself, so we've got some gates coming into the yard itself with the fence going around the back, and as you can see, that whole area there around the back, it's pretty overgrown, not really used for a great deal. I might put some other bits and pieces in there just to break that up. As you can also notice as well, I've relayed the tarmac asphalt road, or track I should say, coming off of the main road up here down and in. This is still dry, and I put this in yesterday, and the colour's not too bad, actually. I think with a little bit of weathering and some vegetation added to that track, that will come up quite nice, and it gives me a nice entrance into the weighbridge in the yard. And that area there where it's white, I'm just going to make that quite muddy and pretty well bad, really, to be honest with you, which most farm entrance or track entrances are, with a lot of mud. Anyway, so what else have we done? Also this area here, this is going to be the garden to one of the houses, which will be situated here. There'll be another house there and another house there. Now this whole area is fixed down, where this bit at the moment where the materials are is still loose at the moment, so I can actually look at maybe putting one of the houses on there. So this area here in effect is going to be the back garden to that house. So again, just a DAS product in there that's drying a bit at the moment. So I'm looking at a fence on the top of this bank here with quite heavily vegetated, and yeah, looking pretty good now. So I'm just trying to think. So we put obviously some more vines, creepers up the side of that building, and I think if we just spin around here, yeah, there's a bit grown up the side of the Dutch barn as well. So yes, yeah, so there's a bit of a transformation from what it was. Obviously it looks so much better when you do get the buildings in situ as well. Really starts bringing that whole scene together. So as I say, with the addition of the static grass in this area, has really started to bring that area to where I need it to be. Once that DAS product is dry, obviously I'll finish that off, and then we'll in effect blend the static grass and the other veg in with this scene. And as I say, when we actually just move this apart slightly, as you can see, the whole lot is loose. So, well, been able to remove it, should we say, so we can get into underneath it. So yeah, getting those joints nice is the top priority. So if I just move that back in there, there's gonna be a little gap, not so noticeable obviously where the Dutch barn is. I need to do a little bit of trimming on that roadway, and again, still a bit of a gap here. I think that's because I haven't really positioned it well, but again, once I put bushes and etc on top of that, that will disappear. So yeah, I hope you can see the improvement there. But I say, for me, putting those chimneys on the main farmhouse building really makes that stand out. And so I also got a chimney on top of the weighbridge as well, so sort of weighbridge building. So yeah, so that's all coming together quite nicely. So the farm itself now is there or thereabouts. It's just really waiting for the fine details. As you can see, we've got the path now established around the building. The veg patch is ready for the vegetables to go in there. The lawn's done. I just need to put a little fence up there and some flowers, whatever, yeah, and a little gate there. And yeah, so it really is now, all of the big stuff is done. Just need the fine details to go on there. As you can see, I've got some of these hay bales which are absolutely phenomenal, and they really do really strike out where and give that impression that I was really after. I've also done some weathering on some of the plant machinery, and we've got some other bits and pieces there. Sorry for the shadows. But yeah, generally he's come together really, really well. Also, as you can see now, most of the fencing is done. The track coming in and out of the fields is there or thereabouts. All the fencing's on, and that small little fillet there, I've actually decided to put that in. And I think that does bring it all together. As I say, any further forward, I would have started impacting, obviously, the crane movement device. So yeah, so a lot more vegetation to be put in. Obviously, the fine details in around the station, as the farmhouse there. And then what we can then do as well, I've done all the bedrooms. I just need to concentrate now in like the living room, put some chairs in there, sofas, etc. And then I can actually lock that farmhouse into position, and then obviously wire it up. Now, the one thing, as you may have seen from the previous review, is that this whole section in effect can move, and that obviously then reveals the all the bits and pieces inside. So I've worked out how I'm going to let's just push that back into position. I've worked out how I'm going to do that. In effect, it's just a simple connector here. So this will in effect be wired up into that building, and then the wire below will then obviously go into the control section. So I can just clip that off straight away, take the whole section apart, do what I need to do, and then come back. And I've put it there, which is a bit in your face, but the fact of the matter is I want to make sure it's in my face, because what I don't want to do is inadvertently lift out that section and forget that it's still wired up, and then obviously do some damage to the wiring. So yeah, it doesn't look great, but at the end of the day, it's there for a purpose. Also, I don't know if you might have noticed at the start, what we've actually done is a lot of work in this area as well. So this was in effect going to be the last thing that I did. So it gives me some area for storage up here. But this area here, I thought, well, what I can do is I just wanted to see what these buildings look like. And as I say, this one's now completed. It hasn't gone together as well as I wanted it to, but it's not a bad reflection of what I was looking for. There is lights in there as well, and I can get those wired up in very soon. And yeah, I've put things like tables, chairs, beds, desks and stuff like that in there. So once the lights are on there, you can look inside and you can have a good view of what's going on. And again, the whole area now around it has been done, as you can see. So I can look at what I'm going to do in regards of gardens, how I'm going to divide down the back end here, and things like driveways. And again, the roadway as well, as you can see, just tidied that all up to give me a good impression of how that's all going to look. And talking about driveways, the track going down into the yard, done a lot of weathering on that, so you've got a bit of veg growing up in the area between obviously the tyres, so that's something you'd commonly see in not very well used areas. And some of the cracks that have come through from the product have actually worked out quite well, actually, so quite pleased with that. Also, I'm not sure, I think that was in the last episode, we've done quite a lot of veg around the back, but now the pond is there or thereabouts, so I just need to do a lot more obviously vegetation into that area, and basically the whole of this bank. So yeah, so where we are, quite pleased, and obviously the previous videos have shown how we got to this area, and yeah, it's all come together really, really well.